Hello and welcome. In this video, I want to walk you through the Notion template I built and I personally used for almost 2 years. This isn't just another random Notion template. It's something I created out of my own need to stay organized while juggling multiple projects. And I've been refining it along the way to make it as clear, functional, and low maintenance as possible. I used so many tools in the past that promised to fix my productivity, my daily workflows, but most of them end up being another piece of work in my own workflow. So if you're looking for a system that helps you to stay focused, avoid overwhelm, and track your work and progress without having to constantly manage the tool itself, this might be a perfect fit for you, as has been for me over the last years. I will go over each feature so you can get a clear idea of how it works and decide if it is something that matches your workflow. But before that, let me give you just a quick overview of how the template is organized, because part of the benefits that the template provides is how simple it is to navigate. It doesn't have a lot of layers or a lot of depth. Whether you are going to be using daily, or at least 90% of the time, is just in this page. You don't have to go deeper into it. And it's also organized in a way that, as you can see, there's no columns, so you can change the width at any width that you need. So it's easy to adapt to any screen arrangement that you might have in your monitors. And also works perfectly well in the application, in the mobile app. So without more delays, let's get started. Okay, first let me show you how the template is a really good task manager. One of the key ingredients to make it more focused task manager is the addition of this entity that I'm calling goals. The intention of these goals is that you can set up some weekly goals that can help you drive your tasks. It's not required, you can not use it, but I personally found very useful to have these goals set up at the beginning of the week, for example, or something that you can plan from previous weeks, because you can easily navigate through the weeks. Creating a goal is actually pretty easy. You just create a new page, and with that, you can set a deadline. As far as it is within the week, it's going to appear in this week. You also can provide focus if you want to mark a particular goal as something very, very important to finish during the week. And also you can link it to a project. A lot of things that you are going to create in this template, you can link them to projects. And I'm going to explain about projects in a few minutes. So once you have done it, you just mark it, and that's going to mark the completion. The overall idea is that having goals visible in this way, it helped me to keep my tasks always goal-oriented. And if there are tasks that are not helping me to achieve these goals, probably that's a good signal that I don't need to address those, or I can find ways to just not do it, at least for that particular week. Now let's jump into tasks. A lot of the things with these tasks are not particularly new. If you're familiar with to-do lists, this is basically a to-do list, but it has some small things that might help you to keep it low maintenance, but at the same time very visual in a way that is useful. So for example, one of the first things is that daily tasks or the groups that you can access to are mostly focused on what is happening today, what happened yesterday, or at least a very few days before that, and what could happen tomorrow. Everything beyond those ranges are just hidden from this. So you don't have to be worried about tasks that you just completed or didn't complete it, because eventually those are going to be hidden from this view. Then, if you want to create a new task, you can do it directly from the list, or also you can do it through this button. If you do it directly from the list, so for example, if I create a task that says write a post, I can easily here say how important this task it is. So this, in the same way I can mark something very important for the goals, we can do the same way for the task. This is particularly, it's a small thing, but it's particularly helpful because during the day you're probably going to end up with a good number of tasks in your today bucket. But seeing something as really important is actually what helps to prioritize it. You can also tie it to projects, and if you go inside the task that you just created, you can define the task as something that maybe it's a little more easier to identify in the group of tasks. It could be a quick task, it could be a call, a meeting, it could be a chore at your home. So for example, I have here, I need to do laundry today, so I added a chore here. It could be whatever you need. So for example, let's say that this is just a regular task, but it includes like, it's a task that it requires to be broken down a little bit more. So for that, I also could create subtasks for it. So I could say I need to outline it, I need to write a draft, I need to review it, right? So these subtasks are also optional, but as far as you complete them, you're going to see the progress here. All the tasks, as I said before, are forgotten over time, but probably there are going to be some important tasks, especially, for example, calls, that you're going to take notes on them, because every task that you create is basically just a big notepad that you can use. But if you start adding notes, you don't want to forget the task, or probably it's a task that, or it's information you want to reuse in the future. So for that reason, you have the option to save it. And what that's going to do is that you have another section here that allows you to access to those saved information that you had in the past. This is particularly helpful because it helps you to keep your tasks moving over time, but at the same time have the option to not lose information that is helpful for the future. The next thing that I'm going to show you is how project management works. As I showed you here, you basically can connect multiple tasks to projects. You can connect goals to projects. You can create projects from these entities. So for example, if I want to attach this to a project that is called a marketing campaign, let's say, if it doesn't match anything I had before, I can create a new one. And creating a new project, it creates this entity that I also have some identifiers that maybe I want to use. Like for example, if this is just a regular work project, if it's a personal project, if it is a course, if it is a client, a trip, whatever it is, I can create from this project that I created, I can create goals from here. So this helps if you want to use projects as an entity that help you planning things ahead. So for example, even though it's a project that requires multiple things to be done, I can start creating those as tasks and start assigning different dates. That's another way to create tasks from a planning perspective. In the same way, I also could start creating goals as some form of milestones that I want to achieve for specific weeks. So that's how projects work in reverse and help to fit the task management. But the most powerful aspect from projects is that you can access to this project section, and it's going to give you a more specialized view on project management. As I said before, you can create projects also from here, from these buttons. And then you have a board with all the projects that you have created over time. You can see these projects by status, which is a very easy way to define yourself if something has been already shipped, if something is active, if something is on hold. You can also see these projects by priority, because projects can have a priority label, which again, for planning purposes, this could be particularly helpful because it helps you to understand what is the most critical thing you need to do. And that's another way to define goals and tasks as well. You can see projects through a backlog view, which is basically a combination of both things. See them by class they are or the status, but also see easily which of them are more critical, or if some of them require some timeline to be set up. But at the same time, you can see the progress in terms of how tasks are progressing or are being completed or goals progress. You don't need to do anything here besides setting up some metadata, because all the activity and reporting is going to be through goals completion and task completion. You also can see that as a timeline if you set up some of the dates, just in case you want to go deeper into the planning aspect of this template. This is the part that requires your input, but there are other sections, like for example workload, which is just very much informative in a way that based on the completion of the data that you have, all the different types of projects you have, you can see how is your workload distribution right now, how many of these projects require some follow-up, are in progress, or to start. How do you define something that is in progress or follow-up depends on the completion of the task. So for example, these 3 sections are based on projects that you created but don't have tasks created yet. That means that it's a project that is empty and is ready to start. Projects that are currently in progress because they have tasks created but that haven't been completely completed yet. So as you can see, if you see task progress, all these projects are not 100% completed in terms of tasks. And to follow up, it means that it's a project that you don't have more tasks to complete. So the system identifies those as something that to keep an eye on, and which happens very often in projects that you just complete your part, but you still need to keep an eye on any updates. And this is only taking into consideration active projects. So if you want to remove something out of your site, you just move them to either ship or on hold. And then you have the forecast, which is basically a way for you to know when something is past due date, because automatically it's gonna identify if a project end date is already passed, projects that are at risk because the end date is really close to the deadline, the projects that are on time because are within the time frame that you set up, or the projects that are still pending to be scheduled. So this is, again, this forecast and this workload is something that doesn't require any of your inputs. It's a section mostly focused on learning about your own workload, and all of this is triggered by task completion. So this is what I talk about. Task completion can be very powerful because, yes, a single action that you do every day can help you to have a very insightful view of your overall project workload. Okay, now let's go and see how much you can learn besides projects workload and tasks workload. One section that I added not so long ago is the insights section, and it's taking full advantage of the new release charts that Notion has released. So if you go to this section, you're gonna see a bunch of charts, but are not just random charts, are separated by sections that can help you to understand, for example, how is your week going in terms of tasks that are currently in progress, or that are done or not started yet. You also can see your today's completion. So for example, I have 6 tasks for today. None of these are completed, but as I completed things, I can see how that is being progressed. I can do the same for goals as well. So this gives you like a good dashboard of these little pieces of data that are very useful to see the progress during the week. This is the weekly progress, for example, and you can see the number of tasks created each day and how many of them are still pending to be completed. You also can see these projects insights, and this is pulled out of the project section. directly, so you can see how many of the projects are ready to start, in progress, or follow up. But the most interesting part of this section is all the trends that you can learn from. And this is very useful to understand how your productivity has changed over time, or if you are in a period that, for example, based on daily task completion, I can see how the latest weeks have been a little bit low, in part because I was on vacation, but it's very interesting to see when you have these spikes of productivity or the weeks that are not so much, because then you can dig into why that happened and help you to learn from your own data. You also can see this task completion weekly, so it's easier to see the trends, or by also goals. So for example, I didn't add some goals in some weeks for a variety of reasons, and probably that's one thing that I need to fix because it's directly tied to some drops in my productivity here. If you love charts, this is probably very fun to look at. There's also some gaming stats that I'm gonna explain next, but so far, again, this doesn't require much maintenance because it's all fed by the simple act of completing tasks. Now, let's see how this template also provides a really nice gamification experience that particularly has helped me a lot to keep my workflow itself as a very engaging tool, or see my workflow as a game, basically. There's a section here that is called My Stats, that is basically the summary of your gaming stats that you have at this particular point based on all your progress. So you have, for example, you have this concept of levels and XP, and it basically it is what it sounds. Every time you complete a task, you win XP points, experience points that eventually help you to reach different levels. So for example, right now I'm at level 10 because I'm 963 out of 988. So I'm very close to reach level 11. So I'm gonna try to create more tasks or more things to do just to speed up that XP. From the XP, you also can earn gems, which is basically like a core internal currency that is going to help me to buy some things. Let me explain you how this works. So there's a section here in the template that is called Shop. In this section, I just add any things that I want to buy, but I don't really need it. I are like little rewards for myself that at some point I just want to, it's part of my wish list. So every time I win XP, I also start earning gems. And gems, since it works as a currency, is something that allows me to purchase these items or not. So depending on the price, so for example, I want to buy this Opera, which is a nice device for music creation. It costs $40, which is in the exchange range that I have internally, it's around 60 gems. Right now, I have, if I see my stats, I have 1,204 gems. But the system understands that. So the system is going to tell me that I can buy this one. As soon as I buy it, it's going to deduct these gems from my gems pool. So it's a nice way to motivate yourself that as you do more work, you can reward yourself with these little things that I want to buy. There are other things, like for example, I really want this MOOC. It's very expensive, but I still don't have the gems for it. So again, it's just self-motivation. As far as I can continue collecting gems and using my template and creating tasks and completing tasks, eventually I'm going to be able to buy it. It's still my own money, but it's a nice way to put your wish list in a way that it works as a motivation for your own productivity. Another interesting thing about these gaming stats is what I'm calling break times. So it's a healthy habit during your day that you can take some breaks. But the system that I set up here is that you basically unlock some break time depending on how you complete tasks. So for example, if I do laundry today, let's say that I did laundry, or I just completed this task, it's gonna start adding up some break time that I can redeem at any time. So for example, I have 40 minutes here and I'm gonna redeem them. So now the system tells me, okay, you have 40 minutes for as a break. If I want to take it, I say yes. It's gonna reset that time. It's like a Pomodoro system, but based on completed tasks. So that's a good way to motivate yourself. For example, I'm in the morning. If I want to take a break, I'm gonna quickly finish this task so I can unlock some break time. It actually really works. And now finally, inside Insights, I was about to show you this part, which is focused on the gaming part, which is basically just a visual representation of how much XP have you been earning through time. So for example, you can see how my XP here has evolved over time, what are the gems you have, what is your current level, and how much you have left to the next level. It's, again, I love charts, so if you love them, probably you're going to find them interesting. If not, it's in a secondary section that you don't need to be worried about. Okay, finally, let me show you what other things you can find in the template that are not particularly tied to the core of the workflow, but are very handy tools that you can use. So one of the most important ones for me is bookmarks. So every time I find something interesting on the internet that it's helping me to variety of things, I just store them here because I have that. Once they're here, I have access to this from any website, from any browser, from any application. And here I have more ways to organize them, for example, by topics or by folders. I also can select some of my favorite ones if I have one that quick access or just a big summary of them. It's not so different to what you can organize on Google Chrome, for example, but there's a benefit on having them on the cloud, basically. So that's a very useful one. Then you have other tools, like, for example, you can review all your tasks. And this is important because one of the main things I learned over time after using this for so long is that you might have some performance issues with the template. And it's not the template's fault because it's already very optimized to not generate too much lag with the relations between databases. But still, for a most optimal performance, you might want to delete some stuff over time. So you can go to the Save to Delete tab, and here you're going to find tasks that have been completed that haven't been saved and are older than 3 months ago. So if you want a way to make the template lighter, just go to this tab and start cleaning up these, because that's going to make them way more. You are going to be able to optimize yourself, the template by yourself. Don't worry about the data that this generates, because this Insights, it's focused on just the last 3 months. So whatever you delete is not going to impact the stats that you're seeing here, which is very important, because these stats, if you learn how to read them, it's very helpful to manage your own productivity spikes. Another section that you might find interesting is the library. So in the same way you can store bookmarks or links, you also can store your reading material that you might want to buy or acquire, and the paths that you already finished. So if you like books, probably this is going to be particularly helpful in your organization. You also can auto-generate invoices. So I have already have my own system, but I figured out after talking with some people that this might be particularly helpful if you rely on invoices as a way to manage your own workflow, or invoices are an integrated part of your workflow. Another thing is a toolkit. So this toolkit is just a set of more very specific tools that can help you with very specific things. Like, for example, you have a brainstorm matrix, which is going to help you to organize ideas and identify priorities. You are going to find here some of descriptions about how to use it, but basically you just create sessions, brainstorm sessions, and this is going to auto-generate some templates that can help you in those sessions. You also have some design principle checklists. If you are using this from a design perspective, it's also going to help you to provide you some guidance in that way. I can walk you through each one of these, but it's going to make this video very long. The one thing that you need to learn is that these are tools focused on helping you to go through your work, especially if you're a designer or developer, that you might want to keep it integrated here. Are very optional, so you cannot just use them and just stick with a task and project management, but it's a nice addition to the overall experience. And this is it. I hope this walkthrough helped you to understand what you can get out of this template. And again, if you decide to purchase, just feel free to deliver some feedback, and I will be happy to hear. Thank you.